Hey, welcome to your day off. My name is Corey. And of course, I sit with my best bud, Tony. What's up, man?
What's up, homie?
I'm stoked about today.
I am. I think it's going to be a conversation that I think it's needed.
I agree. A little bit. So today we're talking to Ariella. I'm not attempting her last name, so stop looking at me. But I'm sure she'll do it. But Ariella, we had her on about a year ago. She talked about her wedding contract, and Ariella actually, I don't know if she's fully responsible, but she's certainly partially responsible for our Thursday business release podcast, because we got such great response.
Oh, 100%. She, because when we were finding out her story, then we just dove into that contract, and the response to that was amazing.
It was unbelievable. She talked about wedding contracts and how to form them and all that kind of stuff. And still to this day, I get people reaching out saying, "Hey, what was that podcast you did about weddings?" And I go, "Ariella, you gotta reach out to her."
Yep. So I guess then since the cat's out of the bag, right?
Yep. I got the first name. You got the last name. No. So
that's not my role. I've never attempted names.
You're the smart one at the table. So let's bring her. So Miss Ariella, welcome back to your day. Actually, you know what? Even on that, sorry, Ariella, I stepped on you again. I think this is our longest. It's been well over a year and a half since we had her on last, right?
Yeah, somewhere around there, about right? A year, right?
How did it take this long? Ariella, welcome back to your day off.
What is up, you guys? I'm so happy to be here.
We are stoked to have you, man, honestly.
I think it has been about a year and a half, so I'm excited to be back. I have lots of stuff to talk about.
Yeah, it was so nice physically to meet you in Premier Philly.
I know, that was so awesome. It was a crazy day, but it was just so cool to finally put a face to you guys and be able to see you and hang out for a minute. That was awesome.
They're really that ugly.
No.
And life adds 10 pounds.
Right.
No, it was awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. We actually met her in the Tabitha coffee room.
Yep. When we did the live pack.
Yeah, that was cool.
Podcast with Miss Tabitha. So
I liked it.
That's awesome. So Ariella, what are we going to talk about today?
Today is all about what to do and how to basically keep moving the needle in your business when it is off season. So,
you're talking about a wedding business.
Wedding business, right? So we're kind of dwindling down from fall season, and we're hitting the winter season. And everyone that's listening might have a different, might be living elsewhere and has different seasons. But our off season is typically, at this point, I would say December through about February, March. Weddings are still pretty scattered between December and the New Year. There's some Christmas weddings, but generally it's not slammed every weekend like it is during the summer and the fall. So basically, I just want to talk about how to keep your business going when it's off season. A lot of people think that just because it's off season that there's nothing to do, they're not making money, and they're kind of just hanging around and waiting for April and May to kind of roll around for the spring season. However, there's so much background business stuff to do. So I wanted to talk all about that.
Awesome. Let's get into it, dude. So, let's say it's the end of November or something, and your weddings are starting to dry up a little bit. What are the first few things that you should take into account?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, I think it's important to just kind of review your season and see what hiccups you had, what challenges or obstacles that you may have gone through, and go back into your contract and basically just check things out that weren't in your contract that need to be added. So for example, something that has recently come up for me that I'm for sure adding into my contract is basically we're not responsible for any lost items during a wedding, which is kind of crazy because I never thought about this before. So that's something that I'm doing off season. So I'm dwindling down, I'm reviewing my contract, and I had a hiccup that happened over the season. So that's something I'll be adding. So really just going in and dissecting your contract and adding things that need to be there that you didn't have time to add at the very time that it happened.
I love that.
Yeah. So that's a big one. Another thing is after an entire season, you have all these new photos of brides and, weddings. So I like to go into my website and really just update my portfolio, add in my new fresh photos, add it to basically all my accounts. for most people, I feel like at this point, Instagram's kind of like their most updated portfolio because you're always, posting content, but people always forget about their website. So it's important to update your website. Also, you don't want like hairstyles that you did from 5 years ago because you think no one's checking out your website.
Right.
So basically just refreshing your website, refreshing your contract. Those are things that are just basically going to help, accentuate your business. Another thing is you obviously want to keep having content during off season. If you're not doing any weddings, what photos are you using? What content are you using? So make sure that you're reaching out to your brides, getting their photos from their wedding, picking up reviews from them, and also reaching out to their photographers for some professional photos also.
Nice. So do you kind of refresh my memory? Do you use a normal, do you use a photographer? Do you use the same photographer for a lot of the weddings, or you just meet them and exchange information when you're there?
I feel like I don't work with the same ones. I feel like I tend to see the same ones if we're working in the same area, but I'm always meeting new photographers. So I always get their information. I always get their Instagram handle. So I'm like stalking them for photos. Like I want these photos. So if I don't get them from the bride, then I'll reach out to the photographer, and they're kind enough to send me the link, and I get to kind of pick and choose whatever ones I think that would best fit my portfolio. I love some getting ready shots. I love some action shots. So those are the ones that I like to put in my portfolio. However, I of course want ones of like the bride and the groom or her spouse, her partner. So I do reach out to the photographer and I connect with them too. But during wedding season, they're editing their photos all season long. So I don't want to bother them the entire season. So I'll just kind of touch base with them after like wedding season has died down a little.
Good point, by the way.
That is a great point.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'll be the guy that would constantly bother them during the height of the season. They'd be like, man, I hate this dude.
So I have done that, and then I never end up getting the photos, not because they're annoyed by me, but just because they're so busy. I'm like the last on their list. They want to get it over to their client before myself.
Of course. That makes sense.
Yeah. So, and then if you feel like you didn't have like a great season and you feel like perhaps you didn't get the photos you were looking for, then I also recommend committing to a couple styled shoots. So a styled shoot, they're usually for trade. So you're basically offering your hair and or makeup services for trade, and in return, you get the photos that you want. So not only do you get content for your Instagram or for your social media, but you also get to connect with local vendors. So photographers, florists, just people that you kind of get to like connect and network with, which essentially could be a nice referral base.
It makes so much sense, because if you organize yourself in the off season, and as we go through this, through the process that you're going through now, it just makes the season so much easier, and maybe not, you don't feel overwhelmed and such chaos, right? So if you can organize yourself in the off season and have everything lined up, it makes the wedding season probably so much easier.
We can just focus on the wedding season, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it really does. For me, like I kind of look forward to off season because I get to gather my thoughts, and I've been so overwhelmed with making sure everyone's good and happy that then I need to kind of prepare myself for the next season and make sure that my other future clients are in good hands too. Like if they get, the yucky end of the stick because I'm so burnt out after wedding season, like that's not cool for them either. So like I even for myself need that in time too.
Right. I dig that. So you must really look forward to it. And then maybe it's a place to put that energy, right? If you're feeling burnt out, you're like, okay, it's just 2 more months of this, and then I can reevaluate everything that I'm doing and everything that that my business is doing. So it's great. Now we're all set up. We know how we're going to look. Now, how do you go about in the off season drumming up that new business?
So I think that doing networking events is everything because you want a strong referral base. Mm-hmm. So I think networking, and not so many people do bridal shows anymore, but that's an option too. I don't necessarily do bridal shows, but I do open houses. So open houses would be me donating my time. I'm not paying for a table, but I get to connect with people that have already booked at this particular venue. So I've done open houses before, and really reaching out to like venues and hotel coordinators and trying to get on their recommended vendor list. So there's like, if I'm like at multiple venues, multiple times of the year, I will then reach out to the coordinator and say, hey, I've been here about 3 times this season. I'd love to connect. I'd love to be a strong referral base. How can I, service your brides, and how can I get on your recommended vendor list, which is like everything.
Go back, explain to me what the open house is. So I got lost there a little bit.
Yeah, open house would essentially be if I am a preferred vendor for, let's just say, a venue, and they have an open house where their brides get to, or their partners, their brides, grooms, they get to come in and do maybe like a wedding tasting. They'll do a wedding tasting, and then it's surrounded by all the vendors that are recommended for that particular venue. Right. So what's nice about that is basically it's like a hot list of people that have already booked this venue. So they're kind of picking and choosing other vendors that they're still looking for.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, totally. I got confused, I guess, because she mentioned it was on the heels of bridal shows. So I was like, how does the open house and the bridal show work together? But so you're saying the actual vendor or the actual venue, has an open house and brings in that's actually genius, right?
Yeah, a lot of venues now are doing that. People are still doing bridal shows. I personally don't love the bridal show situation. I don't feel like it's worked. It's worked for me in the past, but that was like 6-7 years ago. I don't really think people are doing bridal shows as much anymore. Mm-hmm. I personally wouldn't be the one to invest in one. I'll just say it that way.
Okay, got it. So so how are you? Do you ask your brides for referrals or like how does it's a the bridal game is a he said she said kind of thing as far as like who they used or whatever. How do you make sure that you're on front of mind when it comes to past brides or?
It really, really is. So I'm really good at asking them for reviews after like their wedding, their honeymoon kind of dies down. So I do ask for the reviews. I used to do this thing that I feel like I should get back into it, but I kind of fell off from it, but I am considering doing it again. As I used to do a referral program. So basically every time someone would send me a bride, I would send them a gift card. The reason I stopped that, and when I say gift card, I mean like $10, $20 to like Amazon or Starbucks or just something to show my appreciation. The only reason I stopped doing that is because I honestly got too overwhelmed to keep track of who referred who. Right. That was my only downfall. But I try to really make it a point to post things on like my Instagram stories to just thank people for their referral, and word of mouth is really how you support a small business.
Got it.
So what's next on your to-do list in the off season here?
Yeah, another thing that is obviously important all year round, but I think it's the best time when you finally unwind is to go get inspired, take some classes, take some education, whether it be like a hands-on hair and makeup course or just business education, anything to really move your business forward and be able to offer something new to your future brides.
Now, do you recommend that those classes are within the bridal world or like any business class?
Anything that someone feels like they're lacking in. So business classes, meaning if they feel like something is missing in their business, if they need a lawyer to hire for their contracts, really anything that's missing in the business side, but it's a really great time to also do hands-on. So a hands-on updo class, something that they feel like they're not really super great at for makeup. Really just focusing on their skill set and maybe not even taking class. Maybe that means grabbing your mannequin that you haven't had time for. That's kind of like stashed at the bottom of all your stuff, finally pulling that out and like doing things that you've seen tutorials and things like that.
So basically honing in on your skills in the off season. So you're prepared for the season.
That's exactly right. I mean, even for myself, like it's something I do too. I've been doing this forever, but I'm ready to pull out my mannequin, and something I'm focusing on personally is trying to get faster at updos, which means putting down the curling iron and using other tricks and techniques. So using a braid to do an updo, using knots and loops instead of pulling out my curling iron. So that's something I'm focusing on. So I want to kind of start eating away at how long it takes me to do updos. So that's something I'm personally working on during my off season, is I'm finally pulling out my mannequin I need to dust off a little bit and just doing different things to save some time. So that's what I'm personally working on during off season when it comes to hands-on.
Are you taking any classes? Because I know that I know you've connected with a few people, certainly from the podcast and the wedding people that we've done. Have you guys Are you going to do classes with any of those guys? Or you guys doing
I
classes together?
wish. So I have connected with Renee a little bit, and
Mhm.
I've been dying to just go to one of her classes. And every time she was actually just in Lancaster a couple weeks ago, or maybe just recently this past weekend, and I couldn't make it down there. But I'd love to connect with more of the people that are doing some education. I'd love to even do like hands-on in a business collaboration. I did a workshop with someone local who was doing a hands-on, and I was doing basically like a trial and consultation workshop, and that was really cool. So I like connecting and doing things like that, but I haven't been able to make it out anywhere.
I could totally see like her, Renee, and maybe like a killer makeup artist getting together and just doing like a day-long seminar or 2-day seminar.
That would be bomb. That would be so cool.
That would be really, really mega cool. You know, because I mean, I don't know. Ariella's kind of, Renee talked about it a little bit. What's Renee? Give out Renee's handle, by the way, because I forget what it is.
Renee Styles.
Yeah.
Renee Bridal Styles, I believe. Now I'm looking that up.
Good deal. I'll keep talking then. But it'd be kind of cool. Like Ariella's like the only one that I know that's really like investing in the business side of the bridal world. You know, and it's probably the one that everyone. It's easy to learn how to do updos if you're passionate about it, right? But sometimes that passion doesn't carry over to your business. I mean, we've seen that a billion times in our industry.
100%.
You know, so I would love to see it. I think it's you know, like we talked earlier, like, you know, Tony and I are always trying to find like, you know, what's missing in the industry, you know, what holes need to be filled. And I think that'd be an incredible class.
Oh yeah, because Renee was one of the ones that was, when we talked about your contracts, she was blown away by. So, I mean, I think you guys would be a perfect fit.
Yeah, I totally want to connect with her. She, by the way, is Styles_by_Renee Marie. I need to confirm that because that was bothering me. But so that's her handle. So her and I will connect too. But yeah, you're right. A lot of people there. I just feel like there's so many skill set classes local, just everywhere. You can find it anywhere. You could even find it online. But specific business stuff, I feel like is really hard to find in a specific niche.
I love that. And I definitely see like a February class, right? Like a January, February class.
Oh, hey, an off-season class. That's right.
Class is it, man. Which would tie perfectly into this podcast.
This is right. Yeah. Like I'm doing some webinars off season for business stuff. Like I have a contract one coming up. I think I'm going to do like another leadership one. Either way, whether it's a business class or anything that, you know, someone might feel like they're killing it in leadership and their business is doing awesome. They're like, oh, I'm not so great at doing braids or curling or setting hair or whatever that may be. I mean, it's really just a time to reflect on what needs to be done for you to kind of level up in your business.
So if one wanted to do one of your webinars, how would they get in touch with you?
So most of my stuff at this point's on Instagram. So success_you. And I'm constantly posting things and then just through email. So, hey, I want to attend your class. Cool. I'll get you set up. There's a link that I send them. And some of my workshops are in person. And then a lot of them I'm kind of moving online now so I can get a bigger spread of people kind of from all over.
I love that. And a lot of that stuff will be available on Ariella's Linktree too. So if you go to her Instagram page, there's the you know, where you click for if you don't know what Linktree is, where on Instagram where you click the website to bring you there. Linktree actually allows you to put a bunch of different links up on one link. So she'll have some of that stuff on her Linktree as well. You know, her webinars and her other stuff.
I'll for sure have it on there.
You know, that's cool. Miss Ariella, once again, you drop nothing but bombs, and I'm so grateful that you're in our life because certainly I don't feel Tony and I professionally just haven't been involved in any weddings and stuff coming up, so it's kind of nice to kind of have that voice or your voice.
Yeah.
You
fill that void in our life.
Exactly.
Thank you guys. And you guys know I gushed all over you guys right before we started recording, but you guys are awesome and I love everything you're doing.
Oh, Ariella, thank you very, very much. Miss Ariella, what's her last name?
Hey now.
Thank you very much for joining us on your day off. Hey, so there it is. Hey, this is a message that we've been trying to bring, I don't know, for the last couple of months, actually since we started the podcast. Hey, so if you like the podcast or if you find that it's useful, please leave us a review, a 5-star review on iTunes. Leave us a rating and a review.
But if you don't like it, forget about it.
Yeah, totally forget about this message. We also want to thank Sarah and Blaine from Pretty Gritty. Sarah and Blaine, they are a band out of Portland, Oregon, and we just want to thank them very much for allowing us to use their song, Pleased to Meet You, on our podcast. That's cool. I think you can find, actually you can find their music on iTunes.
Peace and hair grease.